Lords of the Fallen is one of the most recent installments in the Souls-like genre. It is not made by From Software, however, it is a extremely similar clone to the Souls games. Now, I'm a little late to this one, but as a Souls game connoisseur like myself, I decided to play through this game, and here are my thoughts on whether or not you should buy this game. So let's start with all of the positives. A lot of positives for this game is the art style, the animation, the graphics. It all looks pretty good at times. One thing I found pretty cool about this game is the amount of armor customization you can do, dude. There is a ton of cool armor pieces in this game, and you can make your character look absolutely sick. Some of the boss fights in this game are actually extremely fun, but some of them are an absolute pain, and we'll get into that in a second. For me, I would say I had the most fun in this game leveling up my character and getting a ton of cool armor, and then actually running a New Game Plus. That is where I had the most fun personally. Another thing I appreciate in this game is the multiplayer aspect. Now, a lot of Souls games obviously have multiplayer, however, Lords of the Fallen makes it very simple, and you're actually encouraged to play with friends at times. I thought it was pretty cool. However, the multiplayer was super rough around the edges, and we'll get into that once again in a second. So let's go ahead and cover the negatives now. So first of all, I want to start with the Umbral, and no, I'm not saying that the Umbral mode is a negative. However, the Umbral mode is very clunky. I like what they tried to do here. I think it is very cool. However, it's so clunky at times, bro. Like, it'll like make your game drop frames. Like, it's just extremely clunky at times. It is very cool, and you know, when it's running smoothly and working fine, it's actually really cool. However, I found more often than not going into Umbral would just, you know, pretty much fry my game. Like, I would get no frames, you know, it'd be terrible performance, yada. Now, that is not a negative point I want to hammer home too much, because from my understanding, the dev team for this game is a little bit smaller, and what they tried to do was super ambitious. And you know, for the size of the dev team, like, I think that the Umbral is very polished, but dude, it needs some touching. Like, it's pretty rough. Now, as far as like the multiplayer goes too, it was great when it was working, but once again, more often than not, the servers were crashing, I was lagging, like, it was just kind of a mess, which is kind of unfortunate, but when it was working, it was great. Now, I want to dive into one of the more obvious aspects: difficulty. Okay, so obviously it's a Souls-like, it's supposed to be hard. However, I found that a lot of the difficulty in this game comes from cheese, okay? And not the good kind of cheese, bro. It comes from like stupid enemies and weird placements, and you know, you have a dude who pushes you off a cliff or something like out of nowhere. It's just a lot of BS. And now, what I do like about this game is you do get a second life opportunity with the Umbral mode. If you are in normal mode and you know, die, you go into Umbral mode and you can, you know, continue fighting. I thought that was pretty cool. However, the difficulty here just felt like a lot of inconveniences that made it difficult. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like the boss fights are super intricate and crazy like something like Elden Ring. It's more like, you know, just a bunch of cheesy level design, and it's pretty frustrating that way. Adding on to the level design, I think it is low-key a negative here, man, because like the level design is it's just so confusing. Like, there's not really many hints to go, and I understand, like, you know, you're supposed to spend as much time exploring as you want, and you know, you're supposed to dive hours and hours into this game, but like, it's like the level design, it doesn't feel good, man. Like, it doesn't feel polished, it doesn't feel good. Which I understand. Once again, it's a Souls game, it's supposed to have difficult level design, but like, I don't think it was difficult in a good way. You know, if you compare it to something like Dark Souls, like, I think that Dark Souls has a way better level design personally. And like I said before, I understand that this is supposed to be a big intricate world, however, it didn't feel that way. It felt very linear, and it felt very linear and confusing at the same time, which I just didn't like. In terms of a first playthrough, I would say my first playthrough, I was super frustrated and ready to put down the game when I was just running around through the world, okay? Like, that is where this game just doesn't do well. Just the normal world itself. The boss fights are fun, but when I was just running around in the normal world, I was not having much fun, bro. Now, once again, I think that this is due to the, you know, intricate level design in the small studio that was tasked with making this game, because the Umbral is super cool. But once again, I just wasn't having fun in the world. And you know, when you compare it to other Souls-like games, or like even From Software games, I feel like I have so much fun exploring the world, and it doesn't feel like a tedious chore. That is what this game felt like for most of it, a tedious chore, at least through my first playthrough. Now, when we talk in terms of a New Game Plus, I actually had a lot of fun, because you know, in New Game Plus, you know everything, and your character's leveled up, you have some good gear, and you know, you're ready to go, and you're just slaying everything out. It's really fun in a New Game Plus. This is one of those games where you get through your first playthrough and you're like, huh, okay, that was actually kind of fun. I kind of want a new game plus it now that I'm a little bit OP, and I kind of just want to cruise through the game again. You know, it's one of those games. It's one of those games that it's very satisfying to beat. I will admit that. It is very, very satisfying to beat this game. Now, let's talk boss fights, obviously, because boss fights are a huge selling point for Souls-likes. So the boss fights in this game are pretty good. I would give them about a 6 out of 10, okay? So it's about mediocre for me, and this is because a lot of the boss fights, man, they just felt kind of lazy. Like, a lot of the boss fights in this game didn't feel like boss fights. I was just fighting like some normal dude with like a sword or something, or like a big hammer. But then like the other half of the time, I would say there were some really, really good boss fights. I don't want to spoil too much, however, some of the boss fights had pretty cool designs, and you know, it was like a weird balance for me. A lot of the trash boss fights in this game, though, were just due to like poor arenas. Like, there's one part in the game where you're just fighting some dude in like some small square with a hammer, and you know, you just can't see because he's messing up your frames, bro. He's doing so much that your game is like lagging, and you're in a small area and he's super hard to dodge. It's a pain, bro. There's stuff like that in this game that is really, really annoying. The arenas in this game with the boss fights can be very, very frustrating. On top of that, there are some really, really cool boss fights as well. I don't want to like spoil too much. I already just kind of spoiled it, but I don't think you guys really care that much. The game's been out for a while now. There's some really, really cool boss fights though. I can keep adding on to the points I just made, but I think you guys get the picture of what you are getting into with Lords of the Fallen. So, you know, I would say if you guys are a huge Dark Souls fan or a huge From Software fan, you guys love Souls-likes like me, I would say play Lords of the Fallen. I would wait till it's like on sale or something though, because it is like full price, I think, right now. So I wouldn't say get this game for full price in all honesty. But you need to understand that a smaller studio did make this game, so if you purchase it, you are helping them out, and I would love to see another game from this, you know, studio with, you know, an upgraded staff, whatever, hopefully using the funds and the sales from Lords of the Fallen to produce a better game. This isn't a terrible game by any means. It's extremely mediocre. However, there are some things to like about this. This game can be a hidden gem. It's one of those games, like I said before, where you beat it and, you know, you kind of fall in love with it in a way. Like, I had no intention of platinuming this game, you know, my first playthrough. I'm like, I'm just gonna beat this and I'm done. But then once I beat it, I was like, okay, you know, this game's growing on me a little bit. It's a game that grows on you a little bit, which I can kind of appreciate, and I do think it is a massive, massive step up from Lords of the Fallen in 2014. I will say that right now. Now, if you guys are new to Souls-like games and, you know, you are trying to get into Souls-like games and Lords of the Fallen is one of the first games you are planning on playing, I do think that there's some stuff here for you. Just, you know, keep in mind that you're going to have to be really, really patient with this game, bro. That's what I would say to basically everyone, is you have to be patient with this game to enjoy it, which, you know, for some people, that'll turn them off from this game, but I think if you're patient with this game, there's a lot of stuff to like here. Make sure to drop a like and subscribe. Like I said before, I am late to Lords of the Fallen, but expect game reviews coming out regularly. I am late to Lords of the Fallen though, because, you know, it's the holiday season. I'm in college, I got finals, but I'm gonna try my best to get content out for you guys. So drop a follow if you guys want to see some couch style gaming content, bro. Anyways, I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.